Hills. It's down there, right there, and then on my green place.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. It is 6:31 PM on Thursday, August 22nd, 2019. Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas will be held on Thursday, August 22nd at 6:30 PM at Sandy Oaks City Hall, located at 4451 Hickory Haven, Sandy Oaks, Texas 78112, for the purpose of considering the following agenda items. All agenda items are subject to action. Ms. Yelton, can we get a quorum call, please?
Alderman Tremblay.
Here.
Alderman Rapino.
Here.
Alderman Walker.
Here.
Alderman Tomasini is absent, as is Garcia, Alderman Garcia, but you do have a quorum.
Thank you. Can we all stand for Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Oh. Sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3 on the agenda, citizens to be heard. Please note that the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the City Council from responding, commenting, or discussing items or topics during this portion of the meeting that are not included on the agenda. This item will be open for up to 30 minutes with 3 minutes to each speaker. If there are more than 10 speakers, each will be given 10 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. I did that last time. We have one speaker signed up. That would be Charles Fillinger.
As Mayor Ball said, my name is Charles Fillinger. I've resided in Waterwood Subdivision in Sandy Oaks for 9 years. I'm currently a candidate for City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, Alderman, Place 1. The city recently received a financial audit report. One of the findings reported was there was approximately $800 missing. Our interim city administrator filed a criminal complaint with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. Shortly after I filed my application for office, a complaint was filed with the city demanding my disqualification because he is a suspect in a criminal investigation. I received a copy of the criminal complaint filed with the Bexar County Sheriff's Office. My name does not appear on the criminal complaint. Clearly, the complaint filed with the city is slanderous, or the originator of the rumor is delusional. I do not believe the person who filed the complaint was the originator of the rumor. I request City Council and City Administration to report to the citizens of the city the following. Have the missing funds been properly accounted for? Was there a case of misappropriation? Was there a bookkeeping error, or was there an office procedural error? Are there any pending matters in the criminal investigation? If there are no pending criminal matters, I request the city to withdraw the criminal complaint filed with Bexar County Sheriff's Office, or supply the investigating officer enough information to close the investigation. This matter should not be left hanging. I'm deeply disappointed that this election season seems that it will be marred by rumor and innuendo originated by those who stand aside as though innocent while using others to spread lies, slander, and attempted character assassination. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you, I was going to ask if you could give me that. Thank you. Item 4 on the agenda, we're going to pull that one. We don't have the minutes ready for that one. Item 5, discuss and a possible action on an ordinance amending the policies for citizens to be heard. This is Alderman Walker and Alderman Tremblay.
Okay, you have in your packets a copy of the ordinance. Ordinance 2019-54, or dash, I can't read it.
It's going to be,
145.
145?
it's the
Okay.
second.
54 was the number of the original.
Okay. An ordinance establishing a policy for citizens to be heard and repealing ordinance number 2016-54. The only changes in it are under, well, there are changes as in regard to Texas, 86th Texas Legislature passed House Bill 2840 during its regular session relating to the rights of a member of the public to address the governing body of a political subdivision at an open meeting of the body, and takes effect on September 1st, 2019. Whereas House Bill 2840 provides that a governmental body may adopt reasonable rules regarding the public's right to address the body, including rules that limit the total amount of time that a member of the public may address the body on a given item. And in regards to the rest of it, there is a statement, persons and groups must sign up in person by the specified deadline, which I believe is 15 minutes before the meeting begins, in order to be recognized to speak. Those signed up to speak will be called upon in the order they have registered.
And you didn't read this one, too. There's an addition to that top there.
Oh, and an addition up top that says, the city clerk, or in his or her absence or vacancy, the mayor or his or her designee shall make available a sign-up sheet for citizens wishing to speak. The sheets shall ask for the speaker's name, whether or not they are a resident of the city, the agenda item or other items they wish to speak on, and whether they desire to address, whether they are for or against the item they wish to speak on, and whether they wish to address the council during the designated citizens to be heard portion of the meeting at the time the item is considered by council. The bulk of my changes to this were taken from other cities around us, and the additions are B, that groups of citizens may have a spokesperson. Up to 3 persons may register on behalf of a group in order for the spokesperson to be allotted up to 9 minutes to speak. Persons registered to speak must be present in order to give their time to the registered speaker, to another registered speaker. No time may be given to a person not registered to speak. No additional time may be given after the allotted 9 minutes. C, in each, do we need to vote on these individually?
No, as it's presented.
As it's presented.
Unless there are specific.
C, in each instance in which a person or group is provided an opportunity to address the city council, said person or group may submit written testimony in support of or in opposition to a particular agenda item or on a topic that could be discussed during citizens to be heard in lieu of presenting verbal testimony, provided that such written testimony is submitted by the deadlines and could otherwise be read into the record during the time frame provided in this ordinance. D, no personal attacks shall be allowed by any speaker. If this occurs, it may be necessary for the mayor or presiding officer to cut them short. E, the mayor or presiding officer may, at any time and at his or her discretion, increase or reduce the time a person has to address the council. At any time during a presentation of the speaker, any member of the council may request the presiding officer to extend the time limit of the speaker. F, disturbances. No person attending any council meeting shall delay, interrupt, or disrupt the proceedings or refuse to obey the orders of the presiding officer. Persons attending shall remain seated except the person addressing the council as provided in this ordinance, with permission of the presiding officer. Persons in attendance shall not carry signs, placards, or other items which may block the view of those behind them. And everything else is the same. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah. Basically, in a nutshell, this allows the citizens to sign up and speak to a specific agenda item, rather than speaking at the beginning of the meeting. But you must sign up on the sign-in sheet, just as you would for citizens to be heard. Indicate the item, agenda items you wish to address. At that point, that gives you the opportunity to speak to the council about that agenda item at that given time. So it's important that everyone understands that. You can sign up to speak to any agenda item, but you must sign up to do it. And if you would indicate, as Alderman Walker indicated, annotate which item you want to address, whether you for it or against it, and they'll do it. The only other thing I would add is that, being that this does fall in line with the state statute and what was approved, is that the effective date of this ordinance is 1 September, which actually would fall in line with our next meeting anyway. So
The 1st
it
of
could actually be
September,
addressed
yes.
today, and wouldn't matter. So that's all I have.
I was just wondering, does this, and I might have missed it, does it preclude discussion or citizens' input on only those things that are on the agenda?
Not according to what I read. According to what I read, they are allowed to address any item during the original citizens to be heard. Am I correct?
They can speak, so they can speak on any item or any city business at the time of citizens to be heard. There's going to be a designated citizens to be heard portion of the meeting, as there is currently, but citizens can choose whether they want to speak at that section or at that portion. If they're speaking on an individual item, they can also speak during that item or before that item is considered, instead of at the citizens to be heard designated portion. But it doesn't prohibit them from speaking on something that is not on the agenda.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that that was the case.
All right, I'd move to approve the ordinance establishing policy for citizens to be heard and repealing ordinance 2016-54. So we're approving ordinance number 2019-145 with effective date of 1 September.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to accept or to approve the amended ordinance 2019-145, and a second by Alderman Walker. Is there any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. I'm going to pull item B for now. I'm waiting on an answer back from the county manager on this one, so we'll address it at the next meeting. I'm going to pull item C for the engineer. Something came up on that yesterday, so we'll address that at a later time. Item D, discuss and or possible action on an ordinance establishing procedures for the adoption of city ordinances. This one was brought by Alderman Rapino and Alderman Walker.
In lieu of some of the recent or ongoing criticism of the council and the mayor, I want to bring this forward so that the community and the constituents can see that we are not trying to obfuscate anything on the ordinances. So it's a new ordinance, and I will read it so people understand what it is. Yeah, okay. All right, I'll stick it in my mouth.
Hold it for you.
Okay. Ordinance number 2019-144, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, providing procedures for the adoption of city ordinances. Whereas the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas is a Type A general law municipality organized and incorporated under the law of the state of Texas. Whereas Section 51001 of the Local Government Code authorizes a government body of a municipality to adopt, publish, or repeal an ordinance, rule, or police regulation that one is for the good government, peace, or order of the municipality, or for the trade and commerce of the municipality. And two, is necessary or proper for carrying out a power granted by law to the municipality or to an office or department of the municipality. And whereas Section 51-012 of the Local Government Code provides a Type A general law municipality may adopt an ordinance, act, law, or regulation not consistent with state law that is necessary for the government interest, welfare, or good order of the municipality as a body politic. And whereas the City Council of the city finds the procedure for adoption of the city ordinances is for the good government, peace, or order of the municipality and is necessary or proper for carrying out a power granted by law to the city. And whereas the City Council finds this ordinance is necessary for government interest, welfare, or good order of the city as a body politic. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks, Texas, Section 1, Findings of Fact. The foregoing recitals are incorporated into this ordinance by reference as findings of fact as it expressly set forth herein. Section 2, Procedures for adopting ordinances. The City Council hereby finds the following procedures applied to the adoption of the city ordinance in addition to those already in place and adopted by the City Council. A, the mayor, 2 members of the council, or the city administrator may offer an ordinance on the agenda for consideration. B, all ordinances except as indicated herein shall be presented at the City Council in at least 2 readings. The first reading serves the purpose of initial introduction to the council and the citizens and for discussion. The council may make amendments to the proposed ordinance. The next business day following the first reading, a copy of the proposed ordinance shall be posted at City Hall and on the city website, where it shall remain for at least 2 weeks until the second reading and may be furnished to the public upon request to the city secretary. C, the public may provide written comments either by mail to the city clerk or the ordinance sponsors as if applicable, co-sponsors' email addresses provided with the link to the proposed ordinance. In other words, whoever sponsors the ordinance and will field, or the co-sponsor will field any comment by email, hopefully, or in writing if somebody wants to send it. A member of City Council may request the mayor read any comments into the record, subject to the time limits of procedures for citizens to be heard. 3, waiver by council. Council may waive the 2 reading process by a majority vote of the City Council present and voting. 4, exceptions. The following ordinances shall not require 2 readings under this ordinance: calling an election, adopting a budget, ordinances adopted to comply with state law, adoption of tax rate and those waived by council. 5, failure to follow procedure, failure of the council, of the city council to follow the procedure for reading the proposed ordinances shall not affect the validity of any ordinance adopted. 6, reading ordinance title. Reading of the proposed ordinance by title shall satisfy the requirement for any reading required by this ordinance. 7, modification after the first reading. Any modification of the proposed ordinance after the first or second reading shall not require the commencement of a new reading or publication on the city website. Severability, if any section is, that I won't bother with severability because that's common to almost every ordinance. The effective date, the ordinance shall take effect immediately after passage and approval of this ordinance. So, that's what I wanted to propose so that people could see that we are not trying to hide anything and that we want to be transparent. So if there's any discussion,
I have a serious.
Just a minute, can I please speak?
No.
I have a serious concern that this invites a walking quorum.
I do too.
And it could be by accident when you start getting email involved or social media out there. I just really feel that this is going to create more problems than assisting with the.
I mean, we've all been schooled in the Opens Meetings
I
Act.
understand that. I'm not saying it will happen specifically with the council, but
It may.
through social media and yes, an email. I just think it's got walking quorum written all over it. I
So,
don't think it's.
What about,
oh, go ahead.
what about an option that works is when the draft agenda goes out to the city council with the draft ordinance cannot not be made available on the website to the citizens.
I think
So
until
there's 72
until council
hours.
receives the ordinance for discussion, there should be no discussion other than the individual who is submitting the ordinance and the sponsor. There should be no discussion with any other council members. And that's the reason why the ordinance itself is not put out to the public until the meeting is being held. People get in trouble more through walking quorums than anything else.
That's true.
And I myself wouldn't want to put myself out there.
Well, I think it's important that everyone understands that only the sponsor and the co-sponsor know what is in the ordinance. The council members don't even receive that until Tuesday, after the agenda is
Once it's
posted.
posted, correct.
I like your idea, though, of posting a draft version with the documents, with the agenda, so people do at least have an opportunity to kind of see what is being proposed.
Wouldn't that cause the same issue?
Well, it would, and one of the challenges is, I know among the council members, you're very well aware of the open quorum or the walking quorum issue. What happens is when you get citizens, they don't know that, they don't understand that, and they will broadcast to every one of you, and that in and of itself can potentially be considered a walking quorum. And the issue with that is any action taken on that amendment is void.
I understand that, and I would hope that any other council member receiving any information would not act on it. But
I don't think it would be, we know how to
Mickey.
handle ourselves as far as
Can I ask a
what
question?
constitutes a walking quorum.
Okay.
But there are, the public, I don't think is aware of that. There may be some people who are aware of it, but unless you educate yourself and unless you do the research, unless you look and it's part of the training we get with the Open Meetings Act. I just think it puts us in danger.
Councilor, what is your view on this? does public discussion violate the Open Meetings Act?
Of public citizen. So it could create the potential if council members engage even maybe unknowingly with each other. The act does require an intent to get around the act and passing an ordinance, which could be difficult to prove. But still, the council doesn't want to put themselves in that position where it could be deemed that way. Is one suggestion, because I think the problem is with section 2C with the emails, and is that or is it the ordinance as a whole?
The ordinance
With
is a whole
written comments?
Isn't there a process in place that even after it's signed, there's so many days that someone from council can appeal to the mayor to reconsider the ordinance?
Well, no, the mayor is the only one with the authority. She has 4 days to
4 days.
ask council to reconsider the ordinance.
Oh, okay.
And that's under the local government code. Council, under Robert's rules, someone in the majority of council, if they want council to reconsider something, someone from that majority needs to request that it be brought back, but it would still need to be voted on whether the council will take it up again. I guess to avoid it, if ordinances are taken up in 2 readings, I mean, there are a lot of governing bodies that do 2 readings or multiple readings. And I don't know how they go about not violating the Open Meetings Act other than they themselves are only discussing at a meeting. I think you could potentially create a problem where if an ordinance is discussed at council, you have maybe 2 people or 3 people talking about it and another group of 2 people talking about it. They're not knowing who, I mean, you don't know what other council members are doing, who they're talking to about it. But if you have a funnel such as where the public can engage or provide their comments to the city clerk or the city administrator, that may help relieve that, where council members are not receiving the communication and potentially giving it to other council members intentionally or unintentionally.
So do we know of any cities who are actually practicing this? The 2 readings. Do you know of, did you do any research as far as any other cities that are actually doing this?
No, we have not.
I would like to know how they're doing it, how they're getting their feedback, because I don't think the feedback should be going to the originators of the ordinance. Again, a suggestion may be that it goes to the secretary. I would just be interested in how other cities are doing it, rather than passing something that again, this to me, it reeks of walking forum. I wouldn't be comfortable with it.
Well, and the other thing is that every ordinance can be amended. So
Sure.
if something is passed and there's an issue with it, then you get with the council or, bring it forward and we readdress it. I mean, we do that all the time.
Why don't we pull this one and then investigate those options and figure out a way where it won't be as, likely to trigger a walking quorum?
Right. I'm not against the ordinance itself for the reading, the 2 readings. I'm more so about how the feedback is going to be generated, how it gets to the council, how it gets to the originator of the ordinance, and so that there's no danger of
Right.
another council member receiving that information. And there you go, you got the originator, the sponsor, and now you have another individual on the council. There's your quorum.
Well, I'm not opposed to amending it in that way so that we can limit the number of people that are aware of the responses. But let's just pull it and
Okay, yeah, do
investigate
it.
those.
Let's do it
I
the
think
next meeting.
I think there's a motion for that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I move that we, Robert's Rules of Order on. Why don't we I make a motion to pull this particular item.
Postpone it.
Yeah, postpone it, to table it until we can investigate some of the options to keep it from having the danger of committing a walking quorum.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Alderman Rapino to postpone item 5D, until there's some time to investigate options to prevent a potential walking quorum. We have a second by Alderman Walker. Is there any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
And I can bring the council a list or sample ordinances of how other cities do it, because I know when I do look at other ordinances on how cities do other things, sometimes they have this was passed on the second reading. I think the main issue with the walking quorum is the public communicating directly to the sponsor, and then the sponsor collecting those, which, looking at other ordinances in drafting this ordinance, I didn't see that in anybody's ordinance, or everything went to one person directly, the city clerk. And then the city clerk would include it, just like other written testimony would be accepted by council in a citizen's hearing.
Well, I'm not opposed to changing it so that we can rule out the walking quorum.
Okay, we'll move on to item 5E. Discuss and a possible action on an ordinance regulating garage sales within the city limits. This was brought by Alderman Tremblay and Alderman Walker.
Okay, the purpose of this ordinance is not to generate funds for the city. The purpose of this ordinance is to assist in the appearance and cleanup of the city. If you drive around the city and look at the stop signs, street signs, telephone poles, there are signs nailed, stapled, taped all over all the signs. So it's a refusal of folks who conduct yard sales to leave their signs up indefinitely. I myself have gone out with the Public Works employee several times picking up signs, and we could do it weekly. So it's an issue. The fee for conducting a yard sale would be $5. It's not a lot of money. $5. If you can't make $5 in a yard sale, then probably don't want to have a yard sale. But within the rules for getting the permit, you would agree that you will pick up the sign within 48 hours upon completion of your yard sale, that you wouldn't put it on a telephone pole or a street sign or a stop sign. You'd be allowed to have your yard sale for a period of 3 days, so you couldn't just conduct a yard sale for a week. And we're not putting a limit on how many yard sales you can have per year. There are cities that limit the number you can have. That's up to the individual. But by state statute, the comptroller says you can have 2 a year. After that, you're required to have a tax permit, tax license, so that you collect sales tax after 2. They figure you're running a business after 2. So we're not going to regulate the number of yard sales. You can have as many yard sales as you like. It's incumbent on the individual if they want to get themselves a tax ID after the 2. So pretty much again, the fee would be $5. They could have it for 3 days. They can't post their signs on street signs, stop signs. They can put them in the right of ways, but they need to pick them up. They can put them on a stake and pick them up within 48 hours after the completion of the sale. So that's pretty much, and there is a copy of the application permit, which Cassandra was kind enough to draft up based on what the ordinance states. And so when the folks do get their permit, they will sign stating that they agree with the ordinance. They can read the ordinance when they get their permit, and they've signed that they understand the regulations and that they're going to pick up their sign within 48 hours. So I'll invite any.
I have a question. So, somebody puts a sign up, how do you know they have a permit?
Within the ordinance stipulates that they will have the sign should be posted within 6 feet of the right of way on their property. So, and the secretary will have a log of who has permits and can just hand that off to the marshal on Fridays, Thursdays, whatever. I don't see us having 30, 40 yard sales at any given day. There's probably 3 or 4 going on. But I don't think it's a tough thing to regulate. I did have a short conversation with the marshal about it. He said it's too easy.
I see where the permit could be beneficial. It gives you an opportunity to educate on placement. Is there a limitation in here on the number of signs that they get to place?
No, ma'am.
And they can go in the right of way.
They're distracting on traffic signs, stop
Oh, they
signs. They're
absolutely are.
distracting.
And when they come
But
down, they leave terrible.
in long term, I'd like to see our public works guys in the fall go out and clean up all these poles and paint them and just dress up the city. I think it'd make a big improvement if we could clean up these signs. They're terrible. Especially at the entrances of the city is where they mainly hit them, and they're. Just look at the one on Waterwood Pass, go up here on Shady Forest. I mean, it's primarily stop signs, but you do see them on the street signs as well.
And I see here on section 10 that food items shall not be sold under authority of a garage sale permit.
Again, that's in
Health
line
and
with
safety.
state statute as
Right.
far as food, health, and sanitation.
And the penalty for not having a permit or violating the guidelines of the permit.
Will not exceed $50, and again, that would be at the discretion of marshal, who has the discretion when he finds a violation, and then again with the judge. So
And that's $50, not per sign, but
per event.
per event.
Yes,
And an event would be 3 days, or up to 3 days.
the event would be the 1 yard sale, correct? And again, I think the main thing is going to be it's education. The first part of this is it's education. I think if people know that hey, you need to pick up your sign, you just have take some responsibility for what you're putting out there.
It does require that they comply with the city's sign ordinance, which
Right.
also.
You're right. That is the signs and the telephone poles.
Well, but they can't put signs on telephone poles anyway.
Anyway, right.
Those are CPS property.
Exactly. CPS doesn't enforce it. We clean them up.
I know.
Yeah.
I've done my fair share.
Mhm.
And how do you propose to get this information in the public domain?
Yeah, we have a newsletter coming out soon.
We do.
Okay, they can go in there, they can go on the website. Again, this is not a, it's not a, let's round up everybody who's having yard sales, let's try to educate folks.
If it's for education purposes, why charge it all?
Well, that was my
If-
question.
You-
So,
If it's nothing, there has to be something attached to it.
well, there's a
If-
penalty if they don't.
Correct.
And my thought was, and I've talked to a couple other people about this as well, there are cities that do have a permit, but the permit is free. They just have to come fill it out. And I'm okay with that. Just being a free permit, but they'd have to come fill it out. And then it doesn't change anything as far as enforcement.
Well, I'm open to it.
Okay.
I just think that there should be a permit. I put a $5 number on there just to have a number. I
Right.
didn't want to say, okay, it's a $25 permit. I think
Right.
it's $15 in the city of San Antonio. I did look at what their ordinance is.
Marshall, what's your experience with that in different cities?
obviously, you want to, it comes with traffic enforcement as well, people parking on the side of the road, signs, and, it comes with all sorts of things. The fee, obviously, you come here, you register with the city, and then, if you don't register with the city and you're continuing to do it, then, there's the discretion, First and foremost, I want to educate people and let them know, okay, if you're unaware of it, okay, then I'll give you a warning. If I continue to do it, if I see you the next week and after I've educated you, then it's going to be a violation. We all want to, help each other out, okay, by educating. And so there's no point in here just finding everybody, because that's not how I work, that's not how the city works. We want to properly educate the first time offense. It's an educational, but after that, once you've been educated, then we move forward. And even so.
Well, and from do other cities charge a fee for the permit, or they just do a registration permit, or?
It varies from city to city, but I've seen that, if it's a free permit, like I said, just to regulate it, what's going on.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I have no problem removing the $5. I would move that we delete the,
Which paragraph was that one in?
It was in
3B.
And it says city administrator throughout the whole thing.
Under-
or designee.
Up here in the
It's-
definitions, it says
Oh,
or
does-
designate. I was doing the same
Okay.
thing.
So
You want to change that to as designated by council or the mayor, since
I would just say
Currently we don't
as
have-
designate.
Yeah.
I think we're fine.
So I'd make a motion that we eliminate
Well, I
Section
don't
3B.
know that you can eliminate it because it's still requiring a permit.
okay, so just set up the,
And just remove the permit fee of $5.
before
Must
the sale date,
accompany
and
the
then just,
application.
and a permit fee of $5
Must accompany the
must
application.
accompany the application.
Yes.
So
So
sale
you're
date
going to
period.
strike
So,
from
yeah, the
and
motion
a
is
permit fee of $5.
strike
Must
section
accompany the
3B,
application.
The
and
whole
a
thing?
permit fee. No, and a permit fee of $5, just that part, right.
What about must accompany the application?
No, an application for the garage sale permit shall be made to the city administrator before the sale date, period.
Period, yeah, okay.
Got it.
So the rest of the entire sentence,
Right.
yeah.
So I would recommend that we further define before the sale date. 5 minutes before the sale?
Oh, no,
A
it
day
says in
before
here.
the sale?
So do it as long as they have it.
It says it's.
But if they're
But
having a
if-
sale on Saturday, they need to come in on Friday
Okay.
to get it.
Okay. Maybe we should reference something in there. The permit has to be
24 to 48 hours.
during business hours, during the business day of the city, at minimum. So would you like to?
no later than the last business day
Before.
prior to the.
I thought it did this.
It does.
So before the sale date and
No later than the last business day of the week prior to the sale.
the last business day prior to the sale.
Last business day of the week.
It's confusing to me, the week, whether it's the week before.
Business day, okay, so just remove that. Business day prior to sale. How's that? Prior to sale date.
Okay.
Okay, so basically, we're going to strike the second part of 3B. We're going to remove the for sale date and add this new verbiage.
So let's be made to the city administrator no later than, correct?
No later than
No later than the last business day
prior to the
prior
sale
to the sale date. Anything else? So I'd move that we approve ordinance, the City Council of Sandy Oaks, Texas, regulating the garage sales within the city as amended.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to approve ordinance 2019-143, regulating garage sales within the city as amended. And we have a second by Alderman Rapino.
That's to include the application as presented.
Oh, okay. I'll start over. We have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to approve ordinance 2019-143, regulating garage sales within the city as amended and including the garage sale application form. And we have a second by Alderman Rapino.
Can I get an amendment to the motion wherever there's a mention of a fee throughout the ordinance is?
It's
Or do I need that?
Oh, it's on here too? It sure is.
Consistently.
It's on the application.
No, it's
Okay,
So you want to amend?
let me withdraw that motion, the last motion.
You can
Okay,
just amend, you can just amend your motion.
okay, I'll amend the motion to include the removal of the $5 fee charge to obtain a permit within the application.
And within
Anywhere
Anywhere
that is
it's
registered.
Okay, so Alderman Tremblay has amended his motion to include the ordinance as presented and amended, and to also include any reference to a $5 fee be removed from the ordinance or the application.
I'll second.
And we have a second by Alderman Rapino. Can I get all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Item 5F, discuss and or possible action on approval of a bid for IT services with Computer Express Solutions. So a lot of things are happening here with regard to IT. And there's a number of things that need to be addressed. And up until this point, it's been anyone sitting on the council or involved in city government has been asked to kind of step up and try to do some things. We're fast moving into a new realm here, which is the marshal's office, the court system. We have security issues we need to address. We have a website that needs to be maintained, which there's 3 of us here trying to make that happen. We have just a number of things that require expertise beyond what we have here sitting at the table. And particularly when it comes to the marshal's operation, there are a number of things that require high security level. So with that in mind, the marshal has presented a proposal for IT support services. And I do see that we have a gentleman, and we have 2 here. I'm not quite sure who's who here. But the first thing I'd like to do is have the marshal speak about the need and what the challenges are that we're facing, and then have the 2 gentlemen kind of address the council as well on the services and what you see, because you have, as I understand, you have experience in the local governments.
Yes.
Okay, so let's let the marshal speak first.
For the systems that we need to put in place for the marshals, along with our clerk, it's very imperative that security is at utmost high level when it comes to not only state, federal, and local. Those things that we're generating, information that we're getting needs to be on a very tight security level that cannot be accessed by anybody from outside and needs to know as well. So we need those services because we cannot operate fully when it comes to running people versus warrants and traffic stops and things like that, to be able to get a background check on that information. That information is provided from county, dispatch, things like that, need a high security level. for me to be able to operate, I need that information to get from county, state, and federal agencies. That's why it's imperative that we bring in an IT system here to put in place for the information that the marshal is getting along with the county, because they're sharing they put in place of what we need at a high level security system for what we're getting that's being disseminated to us. And that's why we're trying to get IT services as well, servers as well. That's all that information needs to be logged in here with this agency, and stuff that's being sent from now on, from the federal, local, and state, and other agencies as well. So it's imperative we have those IT systems, and the security systems as well here, the surrounding, that needs to be inputted in place because we have all this information and that we need. So. And Ray and along his associate, they can get a little bit more technical on that aspect. I know what I need from the state, federal, and county for me to operate, and so they're a little bit more experienced on that.
And can you introduce them?
Yes.
I'm not quite sure.
This is Ray. He's one
I'm
of,
Ray Valdez,
Ray Valdez.
and this is Jerry, my technician, Jerry Leatherman.
Okay, so I know Ray's very clear on what he needs,
Correct.
and the court clerk is not here this evening.
Okay.
But I know that they have, because the information is shared between those two departments, so they also are working with the same sensitive information. In addition, the prosecutor is remote.
Okay.
So in my mind, we need some kind of VPN solution to allow, and I think that that's something that's required anyway for your department. So tell us kind of what we don't know, because we don't know what we don't know.
The firewall.
We carry a firewall system that we have in all of our other offices that we have to prevent people from lurking around and trying to hack into the system. That pretty much blocks them.
Okay.
And that's going to be installed in the office in here because this is where the operations is at.
Does that require a server?
Yes.
Somebody have a server. Some have a server. We have workstations updated, and of course, all the operating system has to be compliant with Windows Professionals, not home version, nothing like
Right.
that. So we have to make sure things are compatible with the server security to be 256-bit encryption. So nobody hack into it.
Okay. What about the tough books?
the TIFFOOKs that we're getting, that were being installed into our patrol vehicles, they will also be, all the software needs to be compliant with federal, state, and local. Because we're on traffic stops, we're running people, all that information is sensitive and cannot get out. And that's what also is protected with IT as well. That stuff, information is going into the system, not only here, disseminated to federal and local authorities with Bexar County. All that stuff is high sensitive information, but we don't want your information getting out or any type of history of your history getting out to anybody else. So all that stuff has to be secure.
So in addition to what is needed for the court and the marshal, the computers that we're using here in the office, you would be able to keep those fine-tuned and
Right.
make sure they're secure?
Upgrade them.
Okay, and what about ransomware?
I'll get software for that.
You've got software for
Yeah.
that? Because I did get an alert from the state the other day
Oh,
about...
yes, ransomware.
Yes.
We'll work that.
Will there be any issue with our internet provider as far as what we're getting now and what?
I don't know, pretty slow right now, right?
Yeah, the last time I was here, I did ran a speed test on it. The speeds are kind of slow. It's good for like one computer, maybe two, and after that, the amount of computers that are going to be in here, plus the CCTV coming in here, is going to slow the internet dramatically. We do require at least a faster internet speed, the minimum maybe 200 meg download with a 10 meg upload.
So our provider is Alamo Broadband, and they have already proposed to us bringing fiber to this location.
Okay.
That'll be great.
I'm waiting on them to provide a proposal. And it would be contingent upon any potential construction issues they may encounter bringing it down here. So I'll follow up with them on that as
Okay.
well. We're lucky we have two
Okay.
fiber companies out here.
Yeah.
As for issues, as far as the marshal being out and using the Teflons, the server's going to be here.
Server's gonna be here.
So do you see any issues as far as?
No, because the MDT, his information gonna go out to the county.
Just wanted to-
Yeah. Whatever he does here, if he's cop sync, whatever he uses here, we localize here, so, tied down.
Okay, so he's not having to, he's sending from his vehicles?
Well, if
Sending?
if he's in the field, he's gonna use the old Wi-Fi card,
Yes.
right? He's gonna go out, that information from the county goes to the county.
But it's
VPN.
through VPN.
But it-
VPN.
Okay, so
It's
I'm
secure.
just concerned about the security
No,
level
no.
of the network.
Right.
When he's
What the-
mobile.
The ones here, like I said, it's gonna have firewall, it's gonna have everything, even VPN, so the remote in, it's all 256-bit encryption. The hacker has to be in the other side of the wall, has maybe 6 months to decrypt your connection with 256-bit encryption.
And are there limitations on the number of VPN accounts?
It depends
you can
what they
have?
want. We used to go by 5, and I think I put in a bid, I'm not sure when the bids are put there for 10 remote desktops or 5 remote desktops secured through Microsoft Server 2016.
You provide backup for
Yes, I
data?
do.
How's that accomplished?
Backup, I have 2 companies, I use Mozy Pro and I use Carbonite. I also use another company called Jungle Disk. But depending, yeah, it's the contract. Locally, some have 2 in the server, 1 external, somewhere hidden, and then offline.
How's your HTML and CSS?
Can you use it? I can work with it. Yeah.
They're not web designers.
I know.
Keep looking.
No, I have
I'm struggling through it.
a partner.
Okay.
So what is the support level for,
Well, I put a bid more or less like 15 hours. I know it's a lot of hours. It's a flat fee, but if you look at my contract, I'm including all the equipment. The 3-year contract, of course, I pay for my parts and parts. So I'm supplying the server, I'm supplying 4 new workstations, upgrading your tablets, the camera system, 8-channel camera system, it's going to be an IP, high def. It's a 4K camera system, pretty clear images. Records up to about a month. And also the software is included, just like the Microsoft, as far as Office, antivirus, and what else? Windows.
and for service?
That was included, 15 hours.
So,
Yes.
but I mean, what's the, let's say he has a problem with the system at 10 o'clock at night. Turnaround for maintenance, you guys are located in?
San Antonio.
You're in
San Antonio, and he's located in One Army.
Mhm.
So,
Won't know that.
And you
Yeah.
do this for
So
Somerset,
pretty
right?
quick,
yeah.
IT
The turnaround's
services.
pretty quick. It is pretty quick. I usually respond within 2 hours, but
I
about
like
24
to
hours, yeah.
Man, to be there.
No.
He's pretty on point. Every time I needed him at my other agency, he was very, he answered.
Yeah.
Punctual?
Very
Punctual.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you handle hardware additions?
Or what?
Hardware addition.
Yeah, you said you covered so many pieces, like.
Insurance I buy and through one of my vendors.
I mean, not us I mean, not you getting the hardware, but if we add hardware, is it going to impact?
It might impact that.
Okay.
Yeah. I put that on there, what I do cover, and how many computers.
Okay. So it will
It won't be that.
increase the cost?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can just shop around the price. I usually shop around the lowest price
Say again?
by comparison.
But that is that. So we're under 50. Right? So we're good? Okay. So in the agreement here, the term of the agreement is for 3 years, and it works out to be $1,500 a month, is that correct? And
Right.
annually $16,500?
Well, I don't know, 16,000 was for the You had a 1 year ahead, or what was it, month?
1 year in advance. Oh, I see what
See, I
you're
mean,
saying.
I cut you 1 month free, so that's another month.
Oh, I got it, okay. So we could pay all at once.
1 year, get a 1 month discount.
Would that be every year?
It depends what you want to pay.
So year one, we could do the monthly, and year two, we could do the full, and
The full
year three,
year.
we could do something different. Okay,
But I do have 15 hours included in there.
Right.
And I submit every month, I submit what a log sheet.
okay. And what happens if we didn't need 15 hours in any particular
Well,
month?
basically, it's going to utilize 15 hours because I use 2 hours minimum per week for backups,
Ah.
check backups,
Got it.
see, and updates. But updates are terrible right now. There's a lot of updates.
Now, I know that the CopSync software is coming in. Would you be assisting him with
Yes.
installation of that and then the connectivity between Bear County and?
Yes.
Okay,
Also, what it says on there that we do remote
Mhm.
onto the computers. We could be at home and we could be remoting into the server, make sure the server is updated, and along with the workstations with that,
Backup.
make sure that everything is getting back up. We don't necessarily have to be here. We can do it remotely as well. So we could be
That
from
location.
the office and from another location,
Right.
remoting into the server and make sure everything is up to date.
now I know you mentioned Tyler Technologies Encode in here, we're not using that. We're
No, I'm just saying,
using
I'm
NetData.
going to pay for the fees. Their
Got
fees,
it,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Need a motion?
Well, I just want to give these gentlemen an opportunity to sit back down if they'd like to.
You're buying the tough books for him as well?
No, we're buying the tough books. They're doing the integration.
Well, he's,
I purchased them already.
yes, he's already purchased them, and so we're just waiting for them to come in.
In program.
And just so you know, they were purchased at a lower cost than what we approved. So there's that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll move to accept the proposal for IT support services from Computer Express Solutions for a term of 3 years at $1,500 a month for the first year.
For the first year?
That's what it says here, 1 year. Oh, no, I see. Yeah, at the rate of $1,500 a month.
Okay.
Can you make a motion on who negotiates the contract?
You authorize someone to negotiate.
Now you need to authorize somebody.
Oh, yes, included in that motion is that Mayor Ball negotiates the contract.
Okay, so we have a motion by Alderman Rapino to approve the proposal for Computer Express Solutions for 3 years at $1,500 a month, and authorizing the mayor to approve that proposal. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Alderman Tremblay has seconded. If no further discussion, can I get, sorry, everyone in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. And if you want to stick around a little bit, we'll get this taken care of for you. Okay, on to item 6 on the city marshal, discuss and or possible action on approving additional costs to retrofit the Impala. So, we had
I've got,
a little surprise.
what do you have there?
I have 15,835.72.
So I want to show you what it looked like when
That's what I
we
wanted to know.
approved the
The last time.
the modifications after we decided to go with the Ghost. So if you look at the bottom line.
Right.
Yeah,
So I think it was was it the last meeting or the one before?
might have been the one before.
We approved some changes which increased a little bit over, there was a change out of the, I think the radar system, the watch guard over,
No, it's just a change of the labor of 1,700.
but it also included
The
a
watch guard.
change in
Right.
some equipment.
Went with the watch guard. It was
Yeah.
cheaper.
Exactly, so, but what was not included in that was the labor to do the install. And so it was brought back and we approved the new adjusted amount, what we thought was the new adjusted amount of $13,385.72. What we have found out is that at the very bottom of that number, I don't know why they did that, but they backed out a piece that had not been received yet, even though this was a quote, they backed out that number.
Because that item wasn't in stock.
Because it wasn't in stock, so, anyway, that was just kind of bizarre, and that was caught while they were beginning the retrofit.
Well, it was caught because I got the newer, which now you have in your packet.
Right.
I got the newest quote, and I noticed the difference in price. So I called and asked, why is there a difference? And they said, well, look at that bottom line. We didn't have an item in stock, so it was
Right.
subtracted. I told them I really didn't care whether they had it in stock or not. We needed it.
Right.
So that's, the additional cost is $2,450 for that item they didn't have in stock. I failed to see that last line in small print where it says adjustment for items not shipped.
Well, and to be fair, there were, everybody sitting at this table and some not sitting at this table looked at this and did not catch that, so.
So now it's $15,835.72 to retrofit. I asked them to stop what they were doing until,
Till we got approval to do
yeah,
that.
they won't release the car until it's approved, the additional $2,450.
So is that $2,500?
Where, $22,450 is the
Well-
difference between,
No.
I don't
The
see that
previous-
listed.
The previous one was $13,385.72. This new one is $15,835.72. So that looks like $2,500 to me.
okay,
$2,450.
that's what I just said.
Yeah.
Oh,
just
sorry,
said
sorry,
the-
35 and 85, okay.
But-
So it's the 2450 that was backed out last time.
Mhm.
But what is that for? Because I don't see any
Look
additional
at,
items listed
look
on.
at the first page where it says Stalker Dual
The third
SL.
item down,
Third item down
right
on
here
the
for
first page.
2450.
But I see that on the old one too.
No,
What do you mean? But they took it
But
out
they
of the
took it
bottom.
out.
Oh, they adjusted it.
Yeah,
out.
look at
right
that
here.
bottom
Look
line.
at the
Got it.
bottom line here, they backed it out.
Got it, I see.
So basically, we're looking to approve an additional $2,450 in order
And she
to,
confirmed this is the final
well, it is the
cost.
final.
It will be.
And the good news is, we have another entity that we can use. We do not have to use Southwest Public Safety going forward. So the action item here is to get a motion to approve an additional $2,450 to complete the retrofit of the Impala. I will tell you that the savings from the Tough Books, I think, offsets this expense from what we approved to spend on that. So it's not a net increase overall, it's more of a nuisance.
I make a motion, we approve the $2,450 additional cost to SWPS invoice.
So we have a motion by Alderman Walter to approve the additional $2,450 for Southwest Public Safety to complete the retrofit on the Impala. Can you get a second on that?
No second.
Alderman Tremblay has seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Okay, item 6B, discuss and/or possible action on approving the purchase of CopSync compatible printers from Peacemaker Technologies. So, Marshall, I'm going to try to explain this, so if I do it wrong, just jump in and correct me. So we approved the software and the purchase of the Tough Books, but what was needed is there's a printer application that goes with those in order for you to actually print out a citation. And that's what we're needing here. Okay, so I got that part right. Okay. And we have, oh, sorry, it's over here.
And these are for two printers for each
For
car.
two, one for each vehicle. And the total cost on that is $1,925. It comes with two of the 4-inch thermal printers themselves. That includes the printer mount, the supply, power supply and the wiring, and the 6-foot USB cable. Then it also includes two USB card readers, a GPS receiver, and then of course shipping and handling. I do have a question, you may know. How much is the thermal
Depends
paper?
what
The
paper.
thermal paper going forward?
It's kind of expensive, I know that. The little 4-inch rolls,
Uh-huh.
they are pretty expensive, but I looked them online and sometimes you get a bargain.
Okay. Because I mean, it's something we're obviously going to need. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to think budget-wise what we.
What kind of printers are they?
I think they're is there a model on there?
It is not
It's gonna
on
be the
here.
large- I think
It says Collogic setup. I don't know.
I believe so.
It
Yes,
says
it's
Collogic
actually-
setup, but it doesn't say.
It's going to be the same because the ones that we had talked about in my previous agency, I think they were running at 800 a piece.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's the same model.
Okay, 4030s.
So this is a one-time purchase, and then the installation you would do as part of the
That's
agreement
nice.
that we already did. Yes? No?
I can put on there, but that wasn't an agreement.
It was not in the agreement.
Not a
Okay.
printer, but I can set up.
Okay.
I can set
I
up.
mean, it's a. I don't know how hard it is.
On the installation, there's two parts of that. They can either be by cigarette lighter, or they can be
Hardwired.
Hardwired. So, but we still, like I said, that we still have to look at because the computers they're going to need
Power.
power as well.
Right.
And so,
Okay. We'll have to figure that one out. Okay.
And the toner or
The
Print
thermal.
ink?
It's not ink.
Oh, it's
thermal.
thermal. No need for that, okay.
Right. So basically, in order for him to issue tickets, he's gonna have this set up to go with the CopSync software.
Part of the package, I mean, you gotta have it.
Gotta have it. And, I mean, the good news is it's a one-time purchase, and I'm hoping we get all of these one-time purchases out of the way this year, so we can get into operating only next year.
We still have money in the supplies.
We absolutely do.
We need to get them set up and functional, and it's the only way to do it. We won't be doing this again next year, so. But I move we approve the purchase of the thermal printers at a cost of not to exceed $2,000.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Tremblay to approve the purchase of the two printers for the CopSync application not to exceed $2,000. And we have a second by Alderman Rapino. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Mayor, do you mind if I say something to the citizens real quick?
Sure.
As you know, I'm the new marshal for the city of Sandy Oaks. I know counties, just to address them a little bit more clear for y'all, county can take calls in our city. They will take calls if the citizens of Sandy Oaks need county. As we're moving forward, I know we're building this department. And so this department, my vision is to, hopefully in the next 2 years, to go 24/7. That takes a while. We're in the process. Everything takes time. Dispatch services, computer systems. We need all this so I can do my job, so we can send officers for public safety. That's first and foremost with any city, to serve and protect y'all. Anytime a call comes out, let's say you call, this county dispatches us and we make a call. Unless myself or another deputy is not on shift, then county will respond. And so that's my vision. All of these expenses that you see is for the citizens here, for the city. That's how we improve, crime, speeding, everything else that comes with any city problems. And it takes time. We're getting there. Trust me, you just have to be patient. I've been on the streets already, and I believe it's getting there. People already know that I'm on the streets, and especially when, on patrol. So balance, just be patient. We're getting there, and hopefully in the next 2 months, we'll have dispatch service capabilities with the county and everything that we need. So.
Yeah, there is a lot, way more than I anticipated. There's a lot that goes into getting that department set up, and I think what's very telling is when the people we're working with at Bexar County say, I've never done this before. So it's not something that happens every day. It's been a very interesting learning curve. But we've got all the people that need to be involved in getting it done, and it's a challenge, and we're getting there. And 2 months I like, but I'm going for a little bit sooner than that. And he has been out working enough that we have our first court date coming up in September. So
we're getting there. And like I said, I treat everybody the same. This city needs a lot from where it used to be when it comes to city ordinances, and I'm going to give you an opportunity, okay? But there's a fine line on how I'm going to go with it, okay? As you see, there's a lot of ordinances that need to be addressed, and I handle those. We handle city ordinances, we handle the laws as well here, just like any other city, okay? So, I would always want it to be a better interaction before, but like I said, I'm trying to do my best to minimize crime. You'll never suppress crime as long as people are still alive.
Right.
So, but I'll do my best, and that's what they want me to do.
thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6C, I'm going to pull this one. There's another piece that goes with this one, so we will put the two together on our next agenda. And item 6D, discuss under possible action on the purchase of a desktop computer and Microsoft Office software for the Marshal's Office. This particular one is for the incoming deputy, so that they have a workstation as well. And you have provided us, and I'm gonna defer to you gentlemen to make sure before we make this purchase that it's the right purchase. Have you run this by them? The laptop that we were talking about?
Not laptop.
Desktop, sorry.
Desktop.
Sorry. It's a HP Pavilion XA0076 all-in-one. If that means anything to you, 12, yeah, whatever it is.
Well, there's two of them on it. There's two to
One's cheaper than the
decide
other.
upon. Well, of course, had them. And on the agenda, I put the Office software, but I didn't realize that was a part of their quote, so.
Exactly.
I don't know about these gentlemen's experience with HP, but I've had issues with HP. I would go with Dell because they,
I go with Dell.
I'll think of that in the future. Dell.
Obviously, getting this computer, it's for the patrol officer. The patrol officer needs his own workstation for all, not only the deputy workstation and reserves working. Obviously, I don't want them in my office. They need to have their own little space to work on this life. So.
On a Dell one, I can probably match that one.
Okay.
Because you already have home version, any professional version.
I know,
So that's another $200 upgrade.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, could you give us a,
Proposal? It'd probably be
just a
something like
not
this.
to exceed number that we could work
What is that
with?
right there?
The 7,
Right, that'd be like a 20
764?
a 24-inch or 27-inch monitor, right? 27,800, small duplex computer.
Okay. So if we went with $800 and not to exceed 800, we should be okay with that? I mean, is there anything else that we would
About 800,
need?
because the monitor's gonna be like $220 when I purchase it.
This doesn't include the
Well,
monitor?
this
Well, that's an
all-in-one.
all-in-one.
Oh, this
You
is
don't want the
all-in-one.
all-in-one, because something breaks, it
It's
The
all-
whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay. So another 200, so $1,000. We should be okay for not
Okay.
to exceed.
That'd be with what he needs.
Can I have that back? Did you want it?
No.
I want a desktop. And my laptop.
Okay, so on this particular one, we would make the purchase through CES. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay,
We need a motion.
we do, absolutely.
I move that we purchase the necessary computer for the deputy from CES for not more than $1,000. Times two?
No, just one.
Just one, just one.
Deputy and reserves will
The
share the
deputy and reserves will
same,
share it.
same workstation.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Rapino to authorize purchase through CES for a suitable desktop unit not to exceed $1,000. And we have a second by Alderman Walker. There's no further discussion. Can I get all in favor to say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. You gentlemen are going to be busy for a while. Number 7 on Public Works, discuss and possible action on approval of bid for septic install for animal kennel facility. So, just give I don't know if everyone here knows where we're at with that project up there. So all of the tanks that were on that one concrete pad have been removed. They've been taken away, and it did not cost the city a dime. In fact, the city actually made about $110 on some scrap pipe. So we actually made a little money on that. We are still struggling with a couple of issues, and that's one of the reasons it's related to the engineering company, and we're working through that. But the kennel has arrived. It is placed on the pad. We are now ready to have the septic system addressed. And so if you remember in a previous meeting, we talked about this, and the bid at that time, I think, was $7,200.
No, I think it was,
It was
well, that included
2 tanks. I
two
think.
tanks.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the one tank price did go up.
Yes.
Because we waited a while.
So what we've got here is the same company, Plates Backhoe, that we had, really, everyone I think was in agreement that's who we wanted to use, because they had the experience with animal shelters. They're going to install a 1,000-gallon tank with access risers and inlet-outlet filter to the tank, 110 foot of 4-foot lateral line. They do the county permit, and the engineering design is all included in the bid, and that is for $6,053, which I still think is less than the single tank option before.
I have to look it up again.
Roughly the same. Now, Chris, I do have a question for you. Have you been in contact with the 811 about the flags,
Yes,
and have they been out yet?
yes.
Oh, they have? Okay, good.
I got CPS and the gas company that I'm not familiar with.
Centerpoint out of Pleasanton.
No.
No, it was a different one.
A different one?
Yeah.
Can't remember the name of
They
it.
contacted me saying that their lines
New
were
Star.
out of the way.
New Star Energy.
Oh, New Star?
We shouldn't worry about their lines.
That we shouldn't worry about them?
Shouldn't.
We should?
Shouldn't.
Should not.
What about Centerpoint?
They haven't contacted me.
Okay.
That's what really gave.
I didn't see any flags out there.
Not on the property,
So
but
they
they need
don't-
to check the property.
They need to
themselves.
come in, and Chris and I had a conversation about specifically where we're looking, and
Yeah.
that's where I want them to focus on
And he
placing
marked.
the flags.
Oh, okay.
And have they come out to do that part of it?
Place the flags?
Uh-huh.
No.
Okay, but they're going to? Okay. So Chris is kind of coordinating the design and the engineering that's contingent upon what is revealed from the underground, if there are any. I would anticipate there's probably some underground water lines.
Probably some pipes, yeah.
Yeah. Be sure that when they come out and they do that, the flags represent, they're different colors for different things, so we'll know if they're water lines. One of the challenges that we had with the property was there's this massive water tank, huge water tank. And we were trying to drain it so that we could move it out with the rest of the items. And Chris would let it run, and tremendous pressure and a lot of water. And after a couple hours, the pressure gauge didn't drop and the water kept flowing. So we did a little head scratching and came up with an idea that if we tested the water, because that's an old Bear Met facility, the water that's in that tank surely was not 10, 15, 20 years old. And what I found was that we tested the water for chlorine. That seemed to be kind of the first direction to go, because if there's chlorine in that water, that means it's fresh water. So I went and bought a little test kit. And I tested it a few times, and it turned bright pink as it's supposed to when there's chlorine. So I placed a call back to Saws, our contact originally at that facility, and he was very apologetic that had not been taken care of, because they had capped the 2 wells already as part of the purchase. But they did send a crew out who did what they call a cut and cap. So that tank is now disconnected from the water main, which will now allow us to put a meter in place so that we can get water supply to that property. So what needs to happen now is we have to drain the pipe. Now, the pressure was an issue. It really wasn't the pressure gauge. That was the thing, because it was directly tied into, there's no power, there's no electric power to that thing. It was strictly from the main, so it never was a pressure issue. But I would like to suggest, I've spoken to the people who carried off all the other items that they took for salvage. This particular one is bigger around than the others, and so there is an additional cost to move that. I would like to propose that the monies that we received for the scrap value, that we would offer that to that company if they would be willing to take that piece for scrap as well. So $110, and we come out with zero. We don't make a penny off of it. I think it's a fair thing to do.
They don't need agenda for approval.
Next week.
Yeah, we can do that. But anyway, the point is that the kennel facility is moving along. We need to get that tank out, and Chris has said whether that is, does that tank need to be removed before he does what he needs to do?
He hasn't said anything.
He hasn't
I don't think
said.
he's even done to.
He's
Okay.
never been out there.
Okay.
No, and I was out there today, Hector was out there picking up some of that other scrap that we couldn't move, some
Thank you,
large
Hector.
stuff. And we talked about the septic, and the place for the tank and the lateral lines would all go downhill. If you look, everything going downhill towards Priest is more than likely where they would run lateral lines. I don't think that tank's going to be in the way for anything.
But if we want to get the tank out, you don't want to drive over the lateral lines.
Right,
That's the
and
problem.
I don't think it'd have to go on the roadway with the lateral lines. There's plenty of room on the
Okay.
other side for them to put the lateral lines.
Okay. Well, we'll let Plates do the assessment on
Yeah,
what they
get with
what they
Chris
need to
do
do
it.
there.
Eyeball it.
So I think it would be important that we lock in a price on that on the installation of the septic, so that we can move forward with that.
You need a motion.
I do.
I move that we use plate backhoe to install the septic system for the dog kennels at no more than $6,100. And so that's the spending.
Okay. So, we have a motion by Alderman Rapino to accept the proposal here by Plates Backhoe, price not to exceed $6,100. And can I get a second on that?
I second.
Alderman Walker seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries. We have one last item. I'd like to make, can I make a motion? Can we adjourn? We are going to adjourn, and it is 8:01 PM.